r/AskReddit. People who've worked for scam call centers, did you know? And if you didn't stayed, why? Worked at one place when I was 19 or so that did public radio pledge renewals. Turned out the boss wasn't actually giving that money to anyone. Just kept it. Bunch of suits and uniforms showed up and arrested him. Shut the company down in the middle of the workday. No idea if he was ever convicted or what might have happened to him afterward. Got a job at a telemarketing place once. First day was told if you are okay scamming people you can make a lot of money. After the intro class we were split into pairs and were told to listen into the experienced workers. Essentially how it worked was you call into a real company and the scammers would get phone numbers close to the reputable companies. So as you call in and are on hold, you think you are waiting to speak with them. A message would come on with some kind of scam deal. A free trip. $1 subscription for 12 months that costs you hundreds later on. Things like that. The very first call this confused senior, who thought she was waiting to speak with her bank. So she willingly gave out things like her credit card number ect. By the time she clued in and realized it was a scam and asked us not to process the information, the rep hung up on her and was actually laughing. Needless to say, I hopped on a bus home after that to go back to the want ads. I'd say they know. Yes. Next time you get one of those scam calls about your car's warranty, go ahead and push the button to be connected to a representative. Ask them so you know you're working for a scam company that is making unsolicited robocalls. Alright. Best you ever get is a sigh as they continue to read the script. If they don't just outright hang up on you. When I was about 19 I worked for a call center for 3 days. They were scamming everyone including the employees. First, shifts were only 3 hours long and you would be scheduled for 2 of those back to back. That is 9-12 and 12:30 to 3:30. This is because if you are scheduled for longer than that you are 1. Legally entitled to break time 2. If you are scheduled for longer than 3 hours and get cut you have to be paid a minimum of 3 hours. The company would regularly cut you if you weren't bringing in enough money. You were then expected to return for your next shift. I'm sure they screwed people's paychecks somehow but I walked out on day 3 and abandoned my paycheck. I walked out because that was the day I learned where the money went. See? We weren't selling shit. We were raising money for breast cancer research. The key piece that led me to quit was when I learned that 0.1% of all donations went towards the actual research. The remaining 99.9%? Well, it was lining pockets and funding other centers to scam people. I now only donate directly to a source and even then only after vetting them. Edit. Spelling. Well, it took a bit of time. But then I finally quit my job at Comcast. Had an interview for me. Went in. Felt dodgy. Went through into the guy's office. He's chatting away about the business fixing roofs and selling certain types. But you'll only answer incoming calls. As soon as he said that I knew he was full of shit. The callers closest to the office I watched do call outs and hi I'm calling from blah script. I deliberately fluffed the interview from then on and left as fast as I could. I got hired to work in a loans office on the phone. Incoming calls. Basically they come across like a broker. Telling people they qualified for certain loans and we would hook them up. We would then send a text with identical links to apply for loans. Pretty much every text had the same links. We charged them for a non-service. They weren't approved for anything. I hated the idea of working there. I thought I'd just get through the training and consider my options. I was hired by an agency, not the only time I was screwed over by an agency, who assured me that I'd easily make above the lower range of starting wages because I had call center experience. I'd also get to pick my shifts etc. All lies. Shocker. A place that scams customers also scams employees. They refused to even show me a contract until I had worked for 2 days. I lasted 3 days. And probably wouldn't have stayed so long but me husband's cousin worked there and thought the place was ace. I sent a scathing resignation email to the agent and the employer. My sister got scammed recently by fake cops. She kept asking to talk to a higher up and their higher up etc. They always had someone for her to talk to. I want to know how many people are on the average scam like that. Do they write a script? How do the logistics work like that? Why did my sister make such a dumb mistake lol? I worked for a company that sold coupon books for $20 a pop. They were signing up for a subscription that would charge them $30 per month after the first month if they didn't cancel. I always emphasized the cancellation part. But know that I duped lots of people out of money. I made good money for a college student. $14 an hour. Plus commission. And I was one of the top sellers on my shift. So got quite a bit extra. People would call in. So I didn't do cold calls. Which made me feel a little better. Between calls, I read comics. I put in my 2 weeks so I could focus on school. But when I went to work the next day, they were shut down. Everyone was crying in the parking lot. Except me. We were all getting 2 weeks severance. Can't talk about any in the US. But my wife regularly gets calls on her business line, forwarded to our house, and she works from there, from Indian call centers pretending to be Microsoft. She likes to lead them on, and just when they think they are going to get access to her PC, she turns on them and tries to make them feel like shit. Do you know that you're preying on old people? How would you feel if someone did this to your mother or grandmother? And then do you have any spiritual beliefs? Do you know you're probably going to come back as a cockroach in the next life? After I started at once selling credit cards to old people on social security disability, I realized what I was being told to do and I walked out. That place was absolutely awful. And I legitimately felt bad for anyone I successfully duped into signing up with a one-time lifetime member card activation fee of $199.99. You're desperate for a job. They call you and it seems legit enough. You go through training and it's fun. The people in your training class are all pretty cool. The managers make you feel special. You think you might actually like this. Then it happens, you get on the phone. First real day of work, and after the 5th person hangs up you realize that you are one of those people. How did I not see this before? But your managers are behind you cheering you on. Telling you not to lose steam. Offering free lunches. You get conflicted. You know it's wrong. I worked there 2 days. The 3rd day I came to work, clocked in, looked around and just got up and left. I recommend you all listen to Reply All's podcast episode on this. Absolutely amazing. I worked for a call center for about a month that bugged people to donate to charities with very similar names to actual charities. But less than 1% of the pledge would actually go towards a charity. When I found this out I felt anxious about it and left. Basically ghosting on it. No manager or employee of any kind even so much as called once when I missed my next shift. I just stopped showing up and then never heard from anyone again. A few weeks later I got a call to my landline that I don't give out, asking if I wanted to come work for the exact same company. In my head I was like, do you guys even remember that I literally did work there and then just stopped showing up? Oh okay then. Definitely how a legitimate and not shady corporation would act. If you don't know, sometimes people who are hearing impaired have these special phones that can caption any calls that come through. I used to be a captioning agent and was captioning a scam call. Now at that company we have to caption every single call no matter the context. No exceptions. It was some Middle Eastern sounding guy pretending to call the police to frighten this elderly woman into giving him money. The woman was on the verge of crying but that bastard would not let up. I was not having it. It's totally against regulation, but I told the lady it's a scam and just stopped captioning in the middle of the call until the dude hung up. Fuck those scammers. Worked for an environmental non-profit as a team doing calls and going door to door. I didn't really understand the legislation we were getting signatures for, but hey, it's good for the environment. A very nice hippie lady invited me in and explained that the non-profit I was working for was financed by the oil companies and was trying to backdoor a way to remove any liability for spills in the Gulf. I did some research and sure enough, that was indeed the case. Told everyone in my office. About half were horrified and the other were like, hey, it's a living. I left and so did many others. It was a trash place to work anyway, as you were paid by how much you brought in donations. For a while in Florida, go figure, I was selling back to the 50s concert tickets. This was to raise money for a police union. But we were told to start off every conversation with the Just Say No to Drugs program in schools. For the kids. Total scam. The concert was all of these has-been acts and barely anybody showed. Only lasted a couple of months. I almost worked for a scam that was a water filtration company posing as a non-profit trying to get water to developing countries. I quit during orientation when I was told I needed to pay $400 for a starter kit. It wasn't a scam. But I needed a job in college, so I went to the job fair. First booth I approached was the alumni center. Connected with the hiring manager. And got the job on the spot. Come to find out, we had to cold call alumni and ask for a gift to the university. The cherry on top was that I was assigned a list of numbers of alumni who had graduated in the 60s and 70s. Few calls ended with widows upset or crying I was asking for their deceased spouse. I lasted 2 weeks and no called, no showed. Not my proudest moment but needed out. Worked a call center in college. Lasted all of 2 hours. We were collecting for some state trooper support fund or something. And there was a manager circulating on the floor with his own manager's headset where he could come plug in and listen in on your calls. Dude was a tool. Total Colin Farrell's character from Horrible Bosses type, you know that guys. Dark purple dress shirt with skinny black tie. Chain wallet. Bad goatee. Starting to lose his hair at 25. Drives a Sentra with an expensive stereo in it and smells like clove cigarettes. That guy. Cut into a call where this elderly lady went from sorry, I can't contribute anything this year to because I'm having surgery and blah blah, and Todd or Chad or whatever his name was is all bro. You just need to cut people like that off and get to the next call. Fuck him. I just realized that was not what I wanted to spend my time doing. Thanks for watching, mate. Make sure to smash that star button for more high quality content.